Hi guys, Mrs. Angel here. I'm going to show you how to create an Alma Thomas inspired artwork using paper, construction paper scraps, a glue stick, and I had already pre-made these circle templates, and then I just ran them through the copier, so the kids got a piece of paper that they could choose from that had some different designs. Like this circle started in the corner, this one was more in the middle, and I ran these through the copier for them because it just became too hard to have my littles trace the circles. So I also want to tell you that this can be used for adapted art as well. I teach a class where students require one-on-one assistance, and we are really working on that fine motor skill of tearing. So for the video purposes today, I'm gonna keep my picture vertical, even though, I mean, you could turn it any way you wanted, it just doesn't seem to fit in the frame very well. But I'm gonna show you how we're gonna get started. So again, what you would need is your students would need a piece of paper with circles drawn on it, so they have kind of the area of where they need to fill. They would need scraps of construction paper, which I have a bunch over here, and then a glue stick. Now, Alma Thomas's artwork, she often used paint and would make these rectangles, and they were always super colorful. And for fine motor purposes, for my littles, they really need to work on that tearing smaller shapes, because some of them will try to glue down big ones, and we don't want to glue down big pieces of paper. We want to make sure that our kiddos are tearing strips and filling in the areas. Now, I encourage the kiddos not to overlap the pieces, to leave a little bit of white space, so I wouldn't say, you know, glue like fill the whole entire area. But instead, I would tell them, and I would tell all my kiddos, is to tear some shapes, or rectangles, squares, and get a bunch of one color first. And I like to work from the inside out. So inside and then work my way out. Now, after I've torn enough and I keep them close to me, you don't want to spread them everywhere and have to find them later. I then would take my glue stick, and remember, friends, and I always remind my kiddos, we don't wind the glue stick all the way up. We just need a little bit. And then I am going to have them, for the little circle, fill the whole thing. And then I just cap it back up. And then I'm gonna start from the middle, and my glue will dry clear. So my kiddos who are working on this, don't worry. If you have the purple glue, it dries clear. And I'm gonna make sure I'm pushing down really good. And you gotta work. We won't be doing the whole entire circle with glue on every single one, because these get really big and the glue will dry out really quick. But I'm just putting down my rectangle shapes, and I'm just staying inside the black lines. And here's what might start to happen. My pieces are too big, friends, so we need to cut them down a little bit to make sure they fit in the circle. And look at that one that I had right there. Will fit right in there. And I always encourage, it's not a race to be the first one done, because sometimes you'll get a kiddo who will just pop this whole thing in there, and friends, we don't do that. We need to take our time. And look at, my glue's already dried here, so I am going to add a little more right there. And again, I'm staying in that black outline. And again, over here. And sometimes I have to tear as I go, friends, so just remember that you may have to go back, and these may be too big, so you might need to just tear them a little bit smaller. And I know it gets tricky because our fingers aren't used to working that small, but that's okay. And if I have some extra white spots and I can get a tinier piece in there, I'm gonna do so. I'm gonna try to get in that little space, but I don't know if I can do it. Let me see if I can. Just barely. Okay, so that is my first circle, and that is complete. Now we're gonna move on to another color. And again, I'm really big into bright colors, but I also do like black because I think it really starts to make things pop. So I'm going to move on to my next color, and I'm gonna repeat that process. So I have some dark, it's like fuchsia. So I'm going to begin, again, tearing some strips. And I have doubled my paper. So I have double. And again, I'm just tearing. And again, it's kind of just holding the paper, friends, and just kind of tearing it. And these are a little too big, so I might shrink them down a little bit. If you're working with little kiddos and they're having a hard time with the really tiny things, little tiny pieces, go ahead and let them tear about the size of a nickel. All right, and now when I go to do this part, this is where we glue at a little time, a little area at once. So I'm just gonna do a little area because as you saw before, the glue dries really quick. So I'm going to start gluing down my shapes that I've torn. And then when I run out of glue, or a glued area, I'm gonna add some more glue. And I'm gonna work my way all the way around the circle. And again, you can turn your paper as necessary, but again, you wanna leave a little bit of white, friends. So a little bit of white in between. Because when Alma Thomas painted, she left little tiny white spaces in between, and it looked really cool. So we are gonna work on that. And I am gonna put this into a faster motion so you don't have to watch me do this for the next 25 minutes. All right. Okay, so I have my next ring done, and again, I'm just gonna continue the process of, again, just tearing paper and continuing around the circles until I am complete. All right, so I've finished. This probably will take kiddos easily 2 class periods depending on the length of time. But again, it's just lots of tearing. Your fingers are gonna get sticky. They're gonna need to wash their hands. But again, you'll have a beautiful Alma Thomas inspired piece of artwork that can go vertical or horizontal, which is probably hard to see, but yeah. So again, those are some options for your kiddos. I hope you enjoyed.